At Dr. Buzz Naturals, we focus on parasympathetic function. So some people hear the words, the vernacular, the language we use in functional medicine, parasympathetic being one of them, but really don't know what it means. So when you're in a sympathetic function, it is very common for people to call sympathetic function the fight or flight function. So sympathetic is the raise of stress hormones. The parasympathetic is the reduction of stress hormones. So in order to have sustained energy, clarity in your mind, focus in your frontal lobes, your prefrontal cortex, you need to be in a parasympathetic function. So how does this work? Well, people who are stressed, stress hormones are up, don't have access to the prefrontal cortex. It's not available to them because all of your energy goes into your body gaining strength through glucose being pushed into your bloodstream. And unfortunately, the strength that people gain is really for survival. Now, prefrontal cortex or frontal lobe functioning really has a lot to do with survival when you think about it. But when people are in survival mode, it's really about unguided, undisciplined strength. When we talk about people that want to be gracefully powerful, or they want to be energetically sustained, or they want to have a certain level of boost or power that they are able to use to their intellectual advantage, this is frontal lobe with a parasympathetic function, so stress hormones are low. People struggle with this. I know clinicians who struggle with this. But the best example I can give you, and here's a great example for our brand, Dr. Buzz Naturals, is Tom Brady. He's in a very aggressive sport, NFL football, and he's a quarterback. But if you notice, the reason he is so dominant to his competition is he sustains high energy through the entire game. Number one. Number two, he becomes less stressed when most people become more stressed in the game. And when is the most stress in the game? The first is right before the kickoff. Once the ball is kicked off, people lose their stress because they become derailed, they're distracted, now they're caught into the game. When do they become more focused on the stress? Or we say the stress is in their head or in their mind in the last couple minutes of the game, because people then become focused on the clock, how much time's left, and what they have to do in order to try to prevail. That increases stress because now you are leveraged. If I don't do these things in this amount of time, so we look at the clock, I will lose the game. If you're a positive mindset person, you would be saying, as long as I get these things done before the time runs out, we have a chance of winning the game. But see, Tom Brady is very unique because he sustains his energy, he maintains his frontal lobes, and he has complete control with calmness, with vitality, and with sustained energy because he's in a parasympathetic function. It is so hard for people to get their minds wrapped around this because they see football as an aggressive sport, and it is. But when you think about it, all sports are aggressive, but how are you using your aggression? And what's your definition of aggression? Is aggression just having energy that it can be insulting in just a short clip, like 10 seconds, 5 seconds, or even a minute? Stress hormones do that no problem. Is it a matter of making a great play, sacking a quarterback, throwing a ball from the outfield all the way to home plate to try to get someone out? That's aggressive. Is it hitting the ball as hard as you can with a racket in tennis? That's aggressive. I mean, when you think about this, whether you're kicking a soccer ball 50 yards or you're tackling somebody who's carrying a ball in football, the definition of aggression is really about power. When you have power, it's really about increased energy. When you have energy, you want it to be sustainable. You don't want one short moment of energy. You want energy that's continued as you manipulate yourself over significant periods of time. So a parasympathetic function allows you to do this. I'm so proud of our brain and body super fuel because not only do the ingredients promote that, but we've scientifically defined our product so people can not only gain sustained energy, but they have access to their frontal lobes the entire time. We're talking about Tom Brady. We're talking about Michael Jordan, LeBron James. People who just, are able to use the talent that God gave them, the skill that they acquired through education and training, with energy that surpasses, or at least it's more enduring than their competition. Brain and Body Super Fuel has a parasympathetic effect because we can sustain people's energy by reducing their stress. So let me say that again. We can sustain people's energy. We can grow it and keep it because we're reducing stress hormones. If you notice, your stress hormones only give you that strength in that moment, sometimes, 5 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute. But shortly after, people become fatigued. And why is that? Because once your stress hormones are elevated, they actually come back down. You actually go through what we call an adrenal fatigue. So our goal is not to have you push or utilize your stress hormones unless you really are in a life-threatening situation. Sports, I'm sure that someone could create an example somewhere in history where they needed that in a sport. Maybe if you're running from the bulls, right, in Spain. But in typical sports, we don't need that. We're talking about speed, skill, functionality, leadership, or the ability to even follow directions. Now, in everyday life, let's just talk about that. If you get restful sleep, which our products also tackle that hurdle that many people struggle with. Our night recovery is just fantastic in getting people to get the restful sleep they need so they wake up with energy. They're not foggy brain, which means you have access to your frontal lobes. Then you take Brain and Body Super Fuel and you're increasing your energy by reducing your stress and over a sustained period of time. So frontal lobe accessibility